Preaching on the yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or I'm sorry, good evening. What am I doing? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and only Big Guy Fantasy Sports Network, and as well as the Rumboy Fantasy Network. We are live on both YouTube channels, so make sure you guys give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube channels, dive off into the live chat with all of your questions. We will be answering. We'll be getting you guys taken care of. The waiver wire is hot. There is some options available. We got to get into it. But first, make sure that you guys visit BigGuyFantasySports.com. If you have not already, check out all of our articles, consistency guides, and much more. All righty. You see title up above. You see the website down below. Link is down below in the description. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it. But first, cheers to me. Cheers to you. Shout out to the Big Guy Fantasy crew. Shout out to the Rum Boys crew. Let's get it. Dilly. All right, let's get you guys up to date with all the happenings across the NFL. We do have to begin tonight's show with the injuries. Taco, how are you doing today, bro?
Whew, man, I'm living by the seat of my pants. Let's talk about these injuries because there's some injuries that are affecting me right now.
Yep, we got injuries, and of course, we have bye weeks. The title of this week's episode is Bye Week Blues. Starting off with the injuries, of course, Devin Achan. Achan is on a bye week. Of course, you never want like a player to be injured whatsoever at all, but when it happens, with the bye week coming up, it's less of a little bit of a blow. Nico Collins, that one definitely hurts a lot of fantasy managers as he was having a stellar season dealing with some hamstring issues. Zach Moss is battling through an ankle. He is trying to maintain his role. He's trying to maintain that starting position, but Chase Brown is getting ready to vulture that for damn sure. We talked about that a little bit last week. Aaron Jones definitely hurts. We'll be talking about how to kind of navigate that one with that backfield there in Minnesota. David Njoku came back for a little bit, looked at the offensive play on the Browns, and he was like, nope, I'm hurt again. Ramondre Stevenson, this one, interesting lesson learned here. It does not matter who they say is going to be starting. Stevenson was still efficient, still went out and did his damn thing, despite Antonio Gibson being the one to go out and start. We'll also be monitoring Ramondre and how that works out. And then Derek Carr last night during Rum Day Night Football did go out with an oblique. We will be approaching how to handle that one as well. Okay. Bye weeks, you have Chiefs, you got Rams, Dolphins, Vikings. All right. I'm liking this, 4 teams like on bye. We had 4 teams on bye last week. We got 4 this week. Doesn't hurt my lineups as much. Of course, you're going to be missing, your Xavier Worthies, your Travis Kelce's, your Patrick Mahomes, etc. from the Chiefs. Rams are going to be missing Kyron Williams. Dolphins, probably been trying to figure out how you can trade and move around your Dolphins, whether it's a Chan, whether it's Hill, Waddle, so on and so forth, or the like. And then, of course, the Vikings, you're missing out on Jettis, you're missing out on Aaron Jones, you're missing out on Sam Darnold, and Jordan Addison as well, because Addison has been having one hell of a season. Let's see here. Good offense, brother. Yeah. Getting into the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are interesting this week, Taco, because there's more so like deep plays, but there's some that we gotta go ahead and talk about. Caleb Williams, 43% available. That was when I looked around last night when I was filling this out. Caleb Williams is starting to slowly get it together. I'm starting to come around a little bit. by week 5, to quote the great Bill Belichick, by week 5 is when you really get to, kind of know your team. And maybe, Caleb is now finding his way around the NFL suddenly.
I think it's 3 straight games of them throwing over 300 yards or something like that.
Yeah. Last two, he's thrown over 3. I believe, the last 3 he's thrown for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns over the span of those 3 games. They play against Jacksonville, so that's what makes Caleb Williams a fair conversation to talk about starting. I would be willing to fire up Caleb Williams. Jacksonville allowing hella fantasy points to opposing offenses. So something to keep an eye on. Daniel Jones.
Daniel fucking Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a weird one to be bringing up. I can't believe that I am bringing this up.
Let's not forget, he did have a year where he finished top 10.
He did. He has had a year where he guys finished top 10. They are playing the Bengals Sunday night. The Bengals have shown that they will let you score on them.
Oh yeah.
This is a winnable game for you guys.
It's like in high school, and you're trying to go score.
Awaiting neighbors should be back within the picture. Which obviously only means that within the past game, you're only caring about Wan'Dale Robinson, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Not really a whole lot else. I don't want people running out there going to grab like Slayton or anything. The only time that Slayton is valuable is if one of the other 2 are out. So, but yeah, Daniel Jones, very, very interesting. Start to bring up for Daniel Jones. Let's see here. Joe Flacco. I throw this out there in the event that it is not Anthony Richardson. This is a monitor throughout the week type of situation. All right. We're waiting to see if Joe Flacco is starting. He is startable fantasy football for you. All right. Joe Flacco in his one outing, 50% consistency, by the way, according to BigGuyFantasy.com. Drake May, 10% available. Drake May getting announced as the starter. End of an era, end of the Brissett era. We have a whole topic about that. I like this mainly for deep situations. Patriots offense has no offensive line. It hasn't shown us as a reason why we need to be starting anyone. It's not Ramondre. So that speaks within itself. And then also have a little caveat there with the Saints await their quarterback announcement in regards to Carr. It's sounding like that Spencer Rattler is going to be the candidate over Jake Haener. Haener didn't look bad, just had some incompletions. So yeah, that's the quarterbacks. Daniel Jones. Oh my gosh, I am dead. Daniel Jones actually 60% consistency throughout the season so far.
Question: what's Hurts' consistency?
Hurts is just barely below him at 50. Hurts is not looking great right now. Debate whether or not it's Hurts or Dak who's the worst quarterback in the NFC East right now.
And it's not Daniel Jones.
It's actually not Daniel Jones right now. Like, surprisingly. New England's white savior complex. I'm dead. Not Hill of Taysom. It's Rattler. It is. Yeah, it's definitely gonna sound like it's gonna be Rattler. But more to come. More to come on that. They haven't solidified it. Look down below in the ticker for the running backs because there's a lot for running backs. Tyrone Tracy, 18% availability. Tank Bigsby had a huge week.
I told y'all about ETN not keeping that job.
The problem with Tank Bigsby is throughout the course of his career, he's only averaged 2.3 yards per carry. And then out of nowhere this season, he's averaging 9.3. Is that going to be sustainable? Is that going to keep being a thing? That is yet to be determined. Bucky Irving, 57% rostered. Still want to keep pounding the Bucky Irving drum. I know that he put a ball on the ground last week, but they still kept going to him, which shows that there is definitely confidence there with Bucky Irving. Chase Brown, 66% rostered. You need to be grabbing Chase Brown. That's why I'm including him. Trey Sermon
got Chase Brown.
Yeah,
Actually.
Exactly. Trey Sermon looked exactly how we said that it was going to happen.
So volume play only while Taylor's out.
Yeah. Trey Sermon's
for a touchdown.
Trey Sermon's not going to be a thing for you.
The one thing I will say about him in PPR leagues, because he's the pass catching back, he has a safer role where he doesn't need to do as much, but he still might get 6 catches for like 50 yards, and then he'll have 35 rushing yards and a touchdown. Next thing you know, he's at 15 points.
To me, and I talked about it last week, for my approach to the Indianapolis Colts in fantasy football is dependent on the quarterback situation. If it's Anthony Richardson, I don't trust the efficiency of this offense. If it is Flacco, then everyone's stocks goes up. And that's my rule of thumb with every single one of them. Antonio Gibson, 37%. Bye weeks, you're needing to fill in, you need a stash, kind of, etc. Ty Chandler is going to be a stash for next week. We need to see what's going to be happening with Aaron Jones. If you have the roster space available and you're not necessarily having to run out and start, any of these other guys, in place of a bye week or whatever, if you can stash Ty Chandler ahead of time with how electric that Minnesota Vikings offense has been, I have absolutely no problems because Touch just got to go somewhere. Ty Chandler, next man up. Braylon Allen, 42%. Waiting to see what the Jets are going to be. Hall hasn't been dazzling. Allen looks like they're trying to get Allen more involved. Looks like they want Allen more involved. Looks like they want to try and eventually make Allen the guy. You're just waiting for the breakout. Justice Hill is interesting because with Justice Hill, in order for him to get you those double-digit fantasy points, that comes in usually situations where the Ravens are playing ahead. So they're not having to rely on Derrick Henry as much. So Justice Hill is super script dependent. If that Washington game turns out how I believe it's going to, where it's going to be a knockout, drag-out fight decided by a field goal at the end, where we're looking at possibly 50-some-odd points scored between the 2 points, as a total between the two teams, I don't know if Justice Hill is going to be the play this week. Emmanuel Wilson, again, it is merely the handcuff play should anything happen to Josh Jacobs.
I will say this, though. I don't think there's any league where you can justifiably say that Ty Chandler should be on your waiver. I can almost guarantee you have someone that's worthy of dropping just because of the injury issues we've seen from Aaron Jones throughout his career. And with the way that we see the running back position in general playing, I believe that Ty Chandler for the rest of the year needs to be rostered regardless.
Yeah. GM likes Braylon. Yes. Rodgers does like Braylon. We are going to be talking about that debacle very, very, very shortly. What is good, Karam? What is good? Yes, that Mookie homer. You like that.
It's not tough baseball.
Yeah, we're not doing that. That's why I'm just going to keep it rolling here. Let's get into the wide receivers. Okay. Wide receivers, very, very interesting. It's a very interesting group because a lot of these guys could be working their way into the flex conversation. And you should be on the lookout for them. Really quick, there is one that I do want to throw out that may be available in leagues that is not here listed. 18% of you, for some reason, don't have Darnell Mooney rostered.
That's fucking nuts.
Okay, so that he's 82% have him rostered. Y'all need to be going out there and y'all need to be looking, okay? It may be a thing in your league, all right?
That first guy, though, Pop Smoke voice,
First one that we are going to talk about here is Jalen Tolbert, 8% roster. Tolbert went off. It sounds like Cook is going to miss a lot more time. This is more so going along the philosophy of the ball has to go somewhere, and Dallas has nobody outside of CD Lamb.
I'm calling it Zay Jones 2.0. Because he has just the open opportunity with a quarterback that's more than likely going to have negative game scripts where he's going to have to throw. It's just like we said, it's a volume play. The ball got to go somewhere.
Exactly. So that's why we're listing Tolbert. Wan'Dale Robinson, 63% availability. You guys should go out there, be looking around, grab Wan'Dale Robinson. As long as Daniel Jones can minimize the mistakes, minimize the turnovers, Wan'Dale Robinson becomes a play. As long as Neighbors is going to be attracting bracket coverage, Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be the play. Dontavian Wicks was targeted. This was the hottest waiver wire ad for a lot of people at receiver last week, and it just came up a little bit disappointing. The targets are still going to be there. The opportunities are still going to be there. This Packers team is going to find themselves in some close games. They're going to find themselves in a lot of shootouts. I do believe that Wicks is still a solid pickup and a solid play. 53% availability if you're seriously hurt by the bye weeks, okay? Trey Tucker, highlighting Trey Tucker again. We don't really know what's going to happen with the Raiders. Is it going to be Myers? Is it going to be Tucker? We're still awaiting to see what's going to happen with Devontae. Devontae's probably not thinking about the Saints anymore and probably looking at the Jets like, yeah, no, fuck both of those. So where he's going to end up yet to be determined. So Trey Tucker continues to be someone to keep an eye on. Al Lazard, 38%. The targets are going to him. That this is Rodgers' security blanket. We are going to keep bringing him up week in and week out as long as the opportunities keep being presented to him. 38% roster, he's got to be picked up, huh?
I believe he dropped a touchdown this week.
Yeah.
He had a couple of drops, but he is getting significant volume. I will say that the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson is seemingly picking up, but it seems like they're more content with short, quick passes where Rodgers gets the ball out very fast, which leads to more dink and dunk, quick catches. It almost feels like Sean McVay and that offense that you run where you see Cooper.
No, it doesn't feel like that because Sean McVay disguises his calls.
Well, no, I'm saying from the fantasy aspect of you're seeing to see high catches from
there is no aspect where those two people ever need to be mentioned in the same sentence.
From the catching aspect of the wide receivers, they're getting a lot of quick targets where they're just moving the ball quickly to get the chains moving, which is getting them like 12 targets, 16 targets or like 10 catches. That's the kind of setup that we're starting to see there.
Okay. Yeah, still I would never put fuck that shit. Hackett should have left too. We are gonna talk about it. Michael Wilson, 12%. Marvin Harris Jr. is going to continue attracting the main coverage. Michael Wilson is going to get targets. Kyler Murray is looking towards Michael Wilson. Okay. Like it, love it, hate it. There are going to be Michael Wilson boom weeks. Okay. Guy that I don't mind, grabbing. Look, Arizona can go out there and they can bang with the best of them. They're playing against the Green Bay Packers. That is a tough defense. But still, Michael Wilson, if I'm missing out on any of these guys, let's say I'm top scorer in the league. Obviously, all these other guys that I'm mentioning are probably going to be gone. If Mike Wilson's available, I'm going to grab him. Keon Coleman, more so big play dependent. Keon Coleman is a tough one because it's like he's 57% available. It's like you want Coleman and you want that to become a thing and you're expecting to become a thing, especially with Shakir missing time and they're trying to get it together. He had a couple of drops. They don't really utilize him in the short game, so it's all big play dependent. So that one's a very, very tough roller coaster to ride on.
It's more like a lotto ticket, I feel like I don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable when I play him. It's like, I hope he catches a big touchdown. I hope he gets a big play. And with the way the Bills' offense looks right now, like I don't know. I'd feel more comfortable grabbing an Allen Lazard type or
Yeah,
Jalen Herbert.
I would feel because of the volume, the chemistry, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera. And then lastly, Ray McLeod looking around 7% because of how many points and how many opportunities in the passing game there is in Atlanta. That's what makes Ray a potential play. He could go out there and he can get you. He can get you 7 receptions. He can get you 6. And he can be pretty damn efficient with those. It's one of those where, hey, he could be a touchdown away, any given week from like, hey, that should be a guy that could and should be in your starting lineup. Ray McLeod, I love in deep leagues. So those 14-man type of situations, I love this as a pickup in those formats. Should be picked up in those formats. JTube asking, would you trade for Jamar Chase? My running backs are Bucky, Achan, Bijan, Sermon. Ooh, those running backs. Wide receivers are Debo, Marv Harrison Jr., Reed, Pickens, Worthy, Wandell, and Puka. My tight ends are Bowers and McBride. He needs a tight end. I'm 2 and 3. He also has Henry and DK and Godwin. Here's what I want to state about the whole tight end thing, okay? If someone in your league, if someone in your group chat throws out, I'm in search of a tight end, we're going to just establish this philosophy now because we're going to actually be talking about tight ends here in a minute. If you're okay with your tight end possibly giving you 8 points and just that being the floor week in and week out, that's a good fantasy week for tight ends. So bringing over like a Fryer move, you having Bowers or McBride, feel free to offer up one of those guys. It does not matter who at this point. With Titans, it does not matter. A tight end is not, per data, a tight end is not making or breaking your fantasy roster. So if you can use one to hustle someone that they need that, by any means. If it doesn't matter which one he wants. If he wants Bowers, if he wants McBride, and if you're bringing over Jamar Chase in exchange for that, absolutely. Your running backs, though, do scare me, J2. Running backs do scare me. Let's get into the tight ends. Again, with this philosophy, you're just hoping for a safe floor, man. 8 points can keep you above water in fantasy this year. K-Dot and 17% volume. That's what we're looking at with volume. Tucker Kraft, 70%. That means he's still out there for some of you. He's still out there. Tucker Kraft is unique in the essence to where he can take the short pass and take it for big gains because he's hard to bring down. So I really want you guys going and get Tucker Kraft. Dalton Schultz, 57% with Nico being out. Schultz kind of becomes a little bit of a factor. Okay. Tyler Conklin, 37%. It's a coin flip play. Okay. That's really all that it is. Let's see here. Zach L, trade CD and likely for Hall and Laporta. I have London and Neighbors at wide receiver and Achan and Brian Robinson. I'm loving that. I love that you have London and Neighbors. I love that you have Achan and Robinson. Achan will really get it going once Tua kind of comes back into the fold. Trade CD and likely for Hall and Laporta. I feel like you keep CD. I feel like you keep CD. Just because it appears that the Jets want to put the ball in Braylon Allen's hands more.
Plus, there's been nothing that Hall has done to justify more of a workload over Allen, who's been one of the most efficient backs per PFF going into the game in Minnesota. I didn't see a stat since that. But also, let's factor in Laporta has not been looking good. I keep CD as the highest leveraged asset in this package. And I sit back and I say the running back is a position that has a lot of turnover. And you have two pretty good guys. A chain, once Tua comes back, elevates significantly. He's actually a buy low guy in most of these cases for us, people that are going for the playoffs, and you're starting to think of who can I get. A chain will not be this bad continuously. You add in the bye week and the injury, you might be able to get him for less than what he's really worth, because as we've seen, he's lining up out wide as a running back playing the wide receiver position, which in PPR, you salivate for that kind of workload. And when you factor in his home run and big play capabilities, I like what you have. It might be just one of those cases where you're better off just standing pat and not doing a move that you regret, rather than doing this, because I think Likely's already outperformed Laporta. Likely might have outperformed, might be almost on the same level as Hall right now. So, at this point, you know what I mean? These guys have shown you what it is for the season, and let's not go back into what last season is. Let's kind of look at what this season is showing out to be, and it's showing that Likely might be the tight end one for the Ravens.
So far it's definitely looked like that. By now, I've expected that Andrews would have, popped out and showed, and that has definitely not been the case. Isaiah Likely, tight end 5 on the year. I got 5 on it. So yeah, Karam, if you trade for a tight end, it doesn't really matter. Exactly. It's not something that is grotesquely elevating your fantasy team. It is not something that is winning you week in and week out. If you're in that, now may it down the line, playoffs, be a thing where that's like splitting hairs when you're playing up against the best of the best teams. Right now, you're just trying to fucking make it into the offs. Right now, we're just trying to make it into the offs. Right now, we're trying to get through bye weeks.
1 week at a time while we're still building for the end road. You can't go too far ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now you project, but you can't over project. You get in trouble like that.
No, I see. I'm seeing in even leagues that I'm in, people doing that. Mm-hmm. Let's get into the breaking news today. All right, we had a couple of different news stories today. The New York Jets announced this morning that they are parting ways with head coach Robert Saleh following a 2-3 start to the season and multiple issues between Rodgers and Saleh. We saw this play out in front of all of our faces. This team has not produced both on the field and for fantasy managers. What is your outlook moving forward?
I think when you look at this roster, they came in as one of the most talented teams.
Assumed to be.
Yes. Just from an on paper standpoint. On paper, these guys look to be fantastic. Now, once we're seeing them in action, they're not performing to what you're assuming. And someone has to take the blame for that. Now, is this a scapegoat for maybe faulty roster building? Maybe it's, a scapegoat for Rodgers really having a slow start, not really having it because he's throwing a lot of interceptions. Maybe it's a scapegoat for Hackett, who they say might have been being forced down and having play calls taken away from him and not being Rodgers' boy. And that's part of the reason why. There are a number of different things that may have contributed to this, but I will say the one thing that it does get rid of is the conversation on if Saleh's going to keep his job. The week in, week out media speculation of what's going on between these guys. Can they be able to work together? Will they get on the same page? What's with the body language? What's with the shove? Are they on the same page? All of that now is done. Rodgers basically right now, there's no more excuses. There's no more anything. You take this team and you vote. Now you come back and you're telling me you're still not performing. Everything has been cleared for Aaron Rodgers. Make no mistake about it. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. But he should, post Saleh, we should see him play better because he shouldn't have any distractions. He should play a little bit more carefree. But these interceptions, man, I don't think he's doing that because of Saleh. You can't really put the interceptions on the coach when you're the one out there swinging the rock. So
No.
that is still worrisome.
So really quick, the Jets are 19th in passing yards per game. They are 32nd in rushing yards per game. And they are 25th in points per game. This team, like you said, on paper, heading into the season, everyone's like, oh, well, like you know, have them. I was seeing people's preseason power rankings. Oh, they have them 10. Oh, yeah, this team can you know, fight for playoffs. Oh, this team, you know, has Super Bowl intentions. Yada, 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 yada. I understand Ulbrich. He's been keeping the defense clicking. He's been, you know, they're fifth in opponent points per game.
But Salah was a defensive coach as well.
Exactly. So I don't think that bringing Ulbrich as the interim fixes anything. That's lateral, if you ask me. Hackett still being in the building. Hackett still having a say-so within offensive decisions. That puzzles me. There's talk on whether or not they may switch play calling responsibilities for the offense. We will see what happens with that. If Rodgers has his way, and I think that Rodgers had a lot to do with this, there's a report that Rodgers walked in, had no ideas that this was going to be going on, that this was going to be taking place in regards to Salah being removed. I feel like not allowing the man to even go and get his damn stuff, that's messed up. I think there's a lot that's messed up with this. So I think maybe, you know, you probably could have rolled out with Salah. I think to a degree you also could have. You know? So the whole situation is interesting to me. I think that is very much, it's giving LeBron James. It's giving LeBron James type vibes. It's giving Led GM vibes. And I think that's what Aaron's doing. Aaron's going to talk tomorrow. I will heavily be tuned into the McAfee show in the morning to see what all he says. That's where he's comfortable speaking.
I mean, no one.
I don't believe that Aaron was blindsided. I don't think that Salah's to blame for how things went in London. I understand the chemistry not being there between quarterback and head coach with, well, what about the cadence and what about this and et cetera, you know, not being able to count for your players' attendance during the offseason and so on and so forth. There's so much wrong with this team. I actually feel like that Salah was the last piece of what was wrong. It was a piece of what was wrong, but I don't think that he was a dominant piece. I wholeheartedly do believe that it's Aaron Rodgers. And now that Salah's out of the building, all the Jets' successes and failures, now you look at Rodgers. Would you trade Brian Robinson and Ridley for Ingram? Would you trade Brian Robinson, Ridley, and Ingram for McBride and Najee? Hell no. No.
I'm keeping Brian Robinson on my team.
I'm absolutely keeping Brian Robinson on my team. My other running backs are Mixon, Dobbins, and Chubb on IR. I'm definitely keeping Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, one at this point, is on pace to definitely be an absolute league winner. You don't know what Chubb is going to come back, you know, fully healthy wise. I'd much rather almost you move Chubb, keep the other three running backs, you know, and figure out things that way. Najee, you do not want that on your roster. Yeah. Let GM did this while on psychedelics. I'm dead. What is a good wide receiver to trade for a buy low? Right now, you're able to get Hill at a very, very good price. You're able to get Garrett Wilson at damn good value.
I don't know after that last game if the Garrett Wilson person is going to give you a value because he had I want to say almost 15 targets. I was sitting back there the second half, and I really started to see those I was saying, short, quick passes, almost like extensions of the running game. Like, we're not going to win downfield. We're just going to microwave.
They'll still give up Wilson. They'll still go because you're not going to be able to justify that's sustainable. You're not going to be able to justify the 15 targets.
I mean, as a Wilson, a person that significant Wilson shares, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, especially now that you have that plus the coaching change. Sipping the Kool-Aid.
I don't think the coaching change changes the offense. I don't.
I believe that it doesn't change the offense, but there's a hope. There's a hope that I have that there's a turnaround that could happen.
You brought up, this offense on paper and such earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone ever just think that the Jets just remain to be the Jets? The Jets just jet.
That is true, but even when the Jets jet, Garrett Wilson was Offensive Player of the Year. So if we can just get back to there, at least I'm still getting productive fantasy value.
Look, I'm just saying. Yeah, Hassan Reddick, the whole Hassan Reddick issue, like, oh my gosh. I mean, my starting lineup is Fields, Jacobs, Pollard, Hubbard, Moore, Johnson, Jefferson, and Jefferson's on bye. And then you got Kraft. Bro, see if you can get Mooney. Like, straight up. Like, see if you won't be able to buy it, like, necessarily buy low. But no one's exactly, like, a lot of the trade offers I'm seeing, like, going around for Mooney, like, people are still letting Mooney go for, like, mid-tier pieces. You could move a Pollard, for, you can move a Pollard, and when you say Johnson, that's Juwan Johnson. Like, I would move, like, Pollard and Johnson, or is that Roshan?
Roshan.
Either way, you could move either those two pieces and try and bring back Mooney. I have Dell, Pickens, and Sutton on my bench. You could probably start Sutton or Pickens. Dell is interesting just because Deontay you could buy Deontay cheap. You could buy Deontay super cheap. Dell is interesting because you're hoping that he can get back to him with Nico being out. Because Stephon Diggs will now, Diggs hate a lot of that coverage. But Diggs can also still get off and get his. Speaking of wide receivers, well, wait, that wasn't even a topic. I don't even know where the fuck that came from. We're not going to be speaking about wide receivers. We're keeping it on the quarterbacks for tonight because more breaking news happened today. Drake May is starting for the New England Patriots. We finally get to see May in regular season NFL action that will actually matter. We're not counting that last little 2-minute drill where they didn't even give him an opportunity to showcase what he had. What are your thoughts, bro? What are your thoughts? Does this help the New England Patriots? Are you looking at rostering Drake May? Willing to put a waiver claim in or not?
So there's no way I'm putting a waiver claim in for this guy unless it's a 2-quarterback league, and I'm kind of short on quarterback. In cases like that, more than likely, I already kept Drake May just because of his upside, and I probably drafted him late. I will say that we have hope. That's again, it's the unknown. You can either look at it as fearful, or you could look at it as hopeful. And you said you didn't want to make it about wide receivers, but let's make it about some wide receivers because they all suck right now for New England. None of them is serviceable. None of them. And when I say they suck, I don't mean that they suck as talent-wise. I mean from a fantasy perspective for you to use. They're not options that are viable to put in your lineup. The question is, with Drake May, do any of these players elevate to rosterable options? That is going to be the question that we're going to have to ask ourselves as we get in there.
Yeah, that's really going to be puzzling.
Does Douglas, do some of these guys start to elevate? Do we see more of that Hunter Henry resurgence? You know what I mean? There's, is Ramondre Stevenson going to catch more passes than he did, before? It's a lot of things that we're going to have to look at and examine from him taking over, because unlike most positions, there's a ripple effect when you do switch. Okay, and
they're definitely in need of a spark. That's for damn sure.
yeah,
Brissett through 5 games, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 74.2 passer rating, and only 696 yards. Hasn't exactly been efficient. It's completed 79 passes out of 135 attempts. That's 58.5%.
yeah.
So I'm hoping for the sake of mainly my dynasty shares that I have of Drake May that he can be something, but this team is first going to have to be able to go out there and they're going to have to be able to attract wide receivers and they're going to have to be able to get receivers. Leafs saying Diddy party for Butte, Polk, Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas could be a waiver grab in deeper formats. I'm hoping that this elevates them. Because of Drake May, he can get outside the pocket and extend plays with his legs, which is something that Brissett really wasn't able to do. You even had Gerard Mayo making jokes about him being the slowest black QB that he's ever seen in his life. May actually has wheels. May actually can extend plays with his legs. So does that? I feel like that's definitely a step in the right direction and can help excel this offense. I want to see what this comes out to be. I like it for deep formats, obviously. 2 QB, if your back is against the wall, which it likely is, with the amount of injuries that have taken place with bye weeks and everything, then you got to do what you got to do. But it's a swing for the fences type of play from a fantasy football standpoint. But I am hoping for Patriots and Patriots fans, even though you had all those years of Brady's reign, that you kind of get back. You kind of get back to being irrelevant. Life is always fun when we get to see Boston guys talk a little shit. Let's see, big boy 6'4", shortest in the family. I warned you, Robbie, about the Dodgers. Don't worry, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. Not talking baseball right now, Crom. Chill out. Pick a side, dynasty, 2 QB, Caleb, Dobbins, Pollard, or Marv, K9, and Levis. Not anything that revolves around Will Levis. In dynasty, yes, I'm definitely keeping Caleb. Dobbins, I mean, yeah, he's been banged up before, but right now, for the sake of my run going towards the playoffs, I'm okay with that. And then Pollard is actually popping out and showing he's doing pretty damn decent.
Yeah, he is.
Would it be nice to have Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes, but they're not really getting him involved right now, so that's not helping you right now. That's a deeper, longer, term move.
It's more dynasty.
I know, yeah. You have balance right now, and it looks like you're probably dominating with having those 3. You're probably winning. You're probably in a position to win some games right now. With dynasty, you never want to get too overwhelmed with, like it's a dynasty league and I have to make sure I'm building up for the future. Yes, you do, but if you can win right now with the pieces that you do have, like go win.
See, I mean, like with Dobbins being like one leg something away from like out for the year, like he has so many times, I would have cause to pause. I would wait a couple more weeks, get a little closer to the deadline, build up a little bit more equity in the standings, see where you're kind of riding. Because on the flip, he might be the perfect guy for you to dump off because you have so many young studs here, Caleb, Marv, K9, where maybe you can deal off Dobbins to a contender who sees him as that key piece to a championship. And now you get a couple of more equitable assets to build up as Robbie saying Marvin probably more into later this year into next year is going to start really popping off. And Caleb is looking like he's going to be a legit QB prospect. So you have some viable cornerstones, in a young team. I don't know. I might move Dobbins depending on how I look close to the deadline.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a package deal of those 3 for the 3, Dom, keeping my Caleb Williams side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for damn sure. You got the Caleb side and you needed a QB. Levis has not answered that problem for you. I'm sorry. tell you that you are way better off with starting Caleb over Levis. If you're needing a QB and that's part of why they're driving that offer, that is not a good offer in terms of a quarterback. From one quarterback to another, talks beginning across the football world as to what's going to happen with the Browns and Deshaun Watson. Something really, really has to give at this point. The Browns have not been efficient. It doesn't seem like anyone's really enthused. Watson, he kind of, just walked off the field and didn't really give a damn, his last game. Basically, you can almost say that he quit on the team. What are your thoughts on the situation? Like it can't get much worse than what it is right now if they throw out Jameis Winston. Like, I feel like at this point, like, just fucking throw out Jameis Winston. At least he can go 30 for 30 and maybe win you like 7 games.
How does the saying going? By Singletary, can't win with him, can't coach him, don't want him, get the fuck out of here. Like, less is more. Like, at the end of the day, no matter how talented you are, if you're coming into the building and acting like that, and this is how we're acting and performing on the field, it's going to affect the morale of the whole team because you're the leader of the ship. And if the leader of the show is that selfish and that self-absorbed that he can't just get to the point of understanding this is about his guys, this isn't about him right now, it's about the team, about all their livelihoods, about all their contracts, about all their futures, and that he's not taking that seriously, nah, man, you got to get the fuck out of here. There's only 32 quarterbacks in the fucking world. And right now, all these boys need to. You're telling me that Cooper doesn't need his contract, that these guys aren't looking at their next steps. Cooper might be signed, but you know what I'm saying? Like, every one of these guys has more contracts, next deals, more tape, more film, more history, more legacy to put out there. And when your quarterback is out there playing like that, half-assed it and hot dogging it, it affects the whole team. And I agree with you. I think that this is a situation where you do need to bench Watson, but we saw him putting a lot of work in with this burner phone, talking about it's a coaching this and a coaching that. So I think it's a very dicey situation, that locker room, and I don't know how the coach can't change him to Jamie, who, I mean, let's face it, he can't be worse. And why did they let Flacco go, which didn't make sense to begin with?
I mean, they knew that they would have had to, after how impressive he was last year, they probably would have had to give him a little extra something.
Is that not what a good franchise would do? Say, hey, let me give you a little something extra here because we were able to make the playoffs with you, and this guy right now is unstable, and our fucking fans don't deserve to keep fucking getting tormented.
So, 250 rushing yards on the season for Jerome Ford, 213 receiving yards on the season for Jerry Jeudy. They are both leaders at their respective position in those categories. 15.8 points per game, 30th in the NFL. They allow 24.2 to opposing offenses, 23rd. 96.6 rushing yards per game, 27th in the NFL. 173.6 passing yards per game, 28th in the NFL. This team all the fuck around is dog shit. Watson has been sacked 26 times. Has a 60.2% completion percentage, a 74.8 passer rating. It's bad. It's bad. Their next set of games. Let's see here. Let me see what the remaining schedule is for the Brownies. Oh, it's only showing me the past games. But it's not looking good for them, like point blank, period. Like, it's not looking good for the Browns moving forward. Let's see. They got Philly. They got Cincy. They got Baltimore. They have the Chargers. Then they have New Orleans.
They win 2.
If lucky.
Yeah.
If lucky. If I'm the Browns, I'm saying, you know what, fuck the money. You're getting benched, pal. Winston, go out there. We're done with you. Deshaun Watson. Hold on. Let me look this up and let me make sure that I get this correct. Hold on. I just want to double check one thing. Yep. Deshaun Watson has settled more lawsuits since joining Cleveland, 24, than TD passes since joining Cleveland, 19.
Jesus Christ. You went there. Like, we're not supposed to talk about those things.
You're getting benched. I don't want you anymore. We tried.
I don't need a courtroom QB.
Is Joe over, bro? Is Joe over? 24 lawsuits settled to your 19 TD passes. No, you're out of here. You're out of here. Bocce asked, would you trade Devontae Smith for J.K. Dobbins or Brian Thomas Jr.? I feel like Devontae for Brian Thomas Jr. is more right up my alley. Like Brian Thomas Jr., we told you guys he was going to go off during the offseason. We said that, he was going to be the guy there. Christian Kirk is still the pacifier. He's still the security blanket for Trevor Lawrence. But it's only a matter of time before it is the Brian Thomas Jr. show, and he's going to 100% take over the target share in that offense. So I would like to be buying that a lot sooner rather than later. But you're also okay with Devontae Smith because when A.J. Brown is also simultaneously on the field, Smith gets open, and that's also what Hurts is going to need. They're coming back off the bye. You got those guys back healthy, but I would like Smith in exchange for Brian Thomas for damn sure. For damn sure. Taco, who is your drop of the week? Who are you adding? Anyone walking a thin line, or what are we looking at this week, bro?
All right, so I'm gonna go with a chalk drop of the week because I didn't get a chance to plug this yet. But it looks like the news is official. Rice is out for the year. Hope is officially dead, so he will be dropped from my roster in this upcoming pass, who I have been holding on to. Who's walking a thin line? I would say I wouldn't drop him, but more of traded is Debo. He started off really good, but since he's come back from the injury, his targets and everything is trending down. It's uncomfortable situation, and I was expecting a lot more. And there's a lot of people that still believe in this big play hype. Who with the dip, you can probably get away and sell him, at pretty much 90% of what you would get from him, but if he continues to trend down, you're going to have to take pennies on the dollar. So I think that's someone that's walking that thin line of being traded, dropped, or just hold on to. It's very interesting and tough call there. And then who am I adding? I think that's pretty clear. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like he's taking that Rice place.
Really.
Next man up. I'm not gonna sell out all my fab, but hey, Juju, hey, what's up, baby? Are we gonna, what is it, hot Corvette on the dance field? How does this thing go? We about to bring it all the way back because Kelsey's looking back too. And shout out, Kareem Hunt. Did Carson Steele fade to obscurity, and Kareem Hunt just, like we said,
Kareem Hunt gonna hoop. Kareem Hunt gonna hoop. He gonna.
Kareem Hunt looking like Juju and bringing it back. Like, hey, we all the way back here, baby. We got throwbacks, but they're real.
For me, the whole like, yeah, we're gonna give Antonio Gibson a healthy dosage and yada yada yada. Like, just was like bullshit. Like, he's RB40 on the year, uh 62 or 52 yards on 6 carries. Just doesn't do it for me. So anywhere that I have Antonio Gibson, he's likely getting dropped in favor for like a Tank Bixby or something or the other. You know, something that I can really, you know, maybe even rely on um, down the stretch at the running back position. But yeah, that's likely probably a scenario that I'm looking at. Uh, you know, just in regards to the running backs, who I'm trying to acquire, who I would like to acquire. I know I kind of shit on tight ends earlier, but give me Tucker Craft. Like, wherever I'm not satisfied with my tight end situation, which is a lot of leagues, I'm acquiring Tucker Craft and I'm bringing him on. That's someone I feel like you know needs to be added, especially for a position that you need the upside. You need, you know, just as much as you can get. So I kind of get a little greedy there, and I want to be able to bring Tucker Craft over. And I'm actually going to try and see about acquiring some Rondell Robinson. I want to see if I can acquire some Rondell Robinson. I'm slowly becoming a truther, and I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. So yeah. And in regards to who's walking a thin line for me, Achan is walking a thin line. I'm about ready to move Achan. Moves at that age, yo, yeah. Juju is kind of unk right now, is he? Um, let's see here. Biggest overreaction from week 5 and your bold take for week 6.
Biggest overreaction. Garrett Wilson is back, baby. We here. We here. It's what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for. Yes. Yes. Ah, we needed that one.
Okay.
Bold take. Bijan Robinson continues this downward trend, and you're going to be wishing that you probably traded him, because it is going to be another situation where if he's going to have 15 touches, and if he doesn't blow up in the 15 touches, it's not going to work. And I mean, I'm not saying that he's not a great and fantastic running back. He was someone that I was super high on. I thought of him as a top 3 player coming in here. I liked him more than Lamb and Hill, but just the way that this situation is set up, with the way that they're passing, with the way they're using Algier, it's just not conducive to Bijan Robinson being the player that we thought he'd be. And yeah, I want to move him sooner than later if I can to get the maximum value, maximum return.
Okay. For me, biggest overreaction from week 5. Mr. 111 yards on 7 passes received. Zay Flowers. That's a production you've been waiting for. You know that he's going to get those boom games. I'm not going to go on the side of like, yeah, he's all the way back right now. But you want to see that, and you like seeing that. I think that a lot of people right now are running around overreacting. It's one game with the passing attack that hasn't been that great. But we know that as the season builds, Lamar really picks it up and gets better. So we'll see. That was a 41-38 overtime win against the Bengals. It was a spectacular game. I have been going back and rewatching that game film to make sure, you know, Washington, we're ready to rise up to the occasion. My bold take for week 6. We're about to dog walk the fucking Ravens.
Oh, Jesus.
We are going to impose our will. Not worried about the passing game. Not worried about them boys. We good. We all right. It's going to be a very close game. It is going to be a close game, but it is the battle of the Beltway, baby, and we are ready. We are ready. Luke McCaffrey, anytime see.
Hey.
Luke's going to finally get one.
Is that the sound of something dropping right now? Because my God.
The Bengals are finished. Yeah. Hey, yes. Hey, put some respect on our name and spell it correctly. Damn it. Yes. Shout out to Zay Flowers, Sunflower Seeds. Jokes on you. 6.5. Dogs trust Vegas on this one. Well, all right. Keep putting the disrespect. Keep on with the look.
That's another situation. My God.
Vegas can keep on. And yeah, other than that, that's tonight's show. All righty. We greatly love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Taco, any final parting words?
Nah, it's been real. It's been great. The rest of my night is going to be with a young lady who's going to keep me up. So it's fun while I had it.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and relax. I'm gonna give me some food. And I'm gonna pass my black ass out because I'm tired.
Say the good life.
Yeah, I'm gonna relax and chill a little bit. We greatly appreciate you guys. Make sure you go back, rewatch the episode if there's anything that you missed. We did cover a lot. We threw out a lot of information here over the last hour. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe. Love each other, support each other, take care of each other. Cheers to me, cheers to you, all the Rum Boys and girls. What it do, dilly dilly. We love and appreciate you. Let's get it. Hold up, I gotta play the outro. There we go.
Preaching on the, yeah.